And God created Erciyes first. From her ashes was born Kültepe. From her roses was born Mazaka. Babel became the language, and then all was worn out. Kültepe was buried into ashes, Mazaka into roses. Babel has died. Erciyes was standing still with all her glory. Kayseri exists with her, living with her, breathing with her. Kayseri works and produces with more resolution and faith each day, living while adding up the hopes for her tomorrow. These lands have hosted lots of civilizations for centuries, the geography of the people, building up tomorrow's hopes out of yesterday's inheritance, rendering the future worthwhile. Kayseri, the smiling face of Turkey, the fountain of hope, the dynamic power, a bridge city upon the historical Silk Road stretching from hundreds of years in the past unto today. Each and every span of these lands entwined with love and tolerance is full of innumerable beauties. It is time we start telling you the story of a city in mid-Anatolia, worth experiencing with her geography, history, culture, and people. The written documents excavated at the tumulus of Kanesh in Kültepe, Kayseri, prove that Kayseri is among the oldest settlements of Anatolia. The settled life of Kayseri, dating back to 3000 BC, carries the traces of Assyrians, Hittites, late Hittites, and Phrygians, respectively. Numerous tablets, caves, and frescoes are standing as research fields of utmost importance for the scientists and the historians. The monasteries and churches around the city carry the human of the 21st century on a voyage into the mystical pages of the past, reaching back to the 9th century. Kayseri Castle, a remainder from the ancient Romans, is a central construction which has drawn the evolution line of the city. The city walls and the towers found in the city center are among the remains of the same period. Kayseri is a city marked by the traces of innumerable civilizations throughout her long history. Hundreds of historical monuments at and around the city center are the reminders of her golden years in the Selçuk period. After the Selçuk, İlhanlı, Eratna, Danişmend, Dul Kadiroğulları, and Ottoman empires rule the land. Here are some of the examples from the rich heritage of the Selçuks who have left their marks on the city. Kayseri, which has gained the identity of a city of science, worship, and trade with the Selçuks, is a Muslim Turkish city with an utterly intense and aesthetic religious architecture. The Gülük Mosque with its famous turquoise-tiled altar, the Hacı Kılıç Mosque, the Han Mosque converted from a caravanserai, the Lale or Tulip Mosque, the Devele Sivasi Hatun Mosque, well known with the altar handwork, the Bunyan Grand Mosque, the Mosque Kebir, the Hunat Mosque, about a dozen important and central mosques remaining from the Selçuk period, are still open to worship. The Grand Mosque was constructed within the years 1134 to 1143 by Melih Mehmet Gazi of the Danishmends. It is one of the most gorgeous religious buildings of Kayseri. The mosque is covered with a rectangular roof standing upon 42 abutments. Most of the abutments consist of the marble columns of the ancient periods. The stone-plated dome above the altar reflects the architectural taste of the time. The altar has been renovated with marble. The octagonal base, brick minaret rise up to Erciyes with its turquoise-tiled panel and its cylindrical form. The Hunat Hatun complex, or Külliye, is the first Külliye of the Anatolian Selçuks. Kulliyes are principally composed of a mosque at the center and buildings such as an inn, public bath, medrese, or Muslim theological school, bazaar, public kitchen, and asylum surrounding it. Especially the wooden pulpit of the mosque, situated over an area of 2,203 square meters, with 48 grand pillars and embroideries on it, carry the delicacy of the Selçuk art to our day. The kulye was constructed in 1238 by Alaaddin Keykubat's spouse, Maperi Hunat Hatun. The grand minarets and the central dome of the Hunat Mosque were built by Sultan Abdülhamid II at the beginning of the 1900s. The pulpit minaret beside is still afoot. Within the complex, built in the days of Hunat Hatun, there is a mosque, a Muslim theological school, a public bath and tomb of Hunat Hatun. Kayseri has been an important educational and sanitary center throughout history. The Silk Road served not only as a tradeway, but also as a cultural path. A piece written in Andalusia could reach Anatolia within a short period of 6 months, and was argued among the scholars. The fact that Kayseri was situated on the Silk Road made it possible for this course of knowledge to be fast and sound. Within this flow of information also were the newly found remedies and medicines. At the Gever Nesebi Sultan Muslim Theological School, or medrese, and asylum, the original therapy with the sound of water and music was applied successfully. This theological school is also known as the world's first school of applied medicine. Under the circumstances of 900 years ago, the Muslim theological schools were the basis of education, among which the theological schools of Sahabiye, Hunat Hatun, Hacı Kılıç, Gever Nesebi Sultan Theological School and Asylum, Güllük, Hoca Hassan were giving boarding education. At the time, Kayseri was merely a campus city. With the number of its theological schools, the level of education and the high level of scientists educated in them, Kayseri became celebrated as Makarı Ulema, which means the land of scholars. Among those graduates, Davudi Kayseri became the founding scholar of the Ottoman theological schools. Mimar Sinan, the architect of the glamorous masterpieces of the Ottoman Islam civilization, also grew up within the scientific and cultural atmosphere of Kayseri. Kayseri is a city of vaults and tombs. The vaults are, in fact, the ornaments of the city. Vaults in the Selçuk cities hold the place of statues in Western cities. The tomb of Seyyid Burhan Eddin, who is one of the spiritual architects of Kayseri, and Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi's master, the tomb of Zeynel Abidin, the tomb of Hunat Hatun, the tomb of Melik Gazi, the tomb of Ali Cafer, the tomb of Hazbek Kadı, and the Turning Tomb are among the many tombs and vaults situated in and around Kayseri. In the village of Melik Gazi in Pınarbaşı, the vault of Melik Emir Gazi, the second emperor of the Danishmends, is known to be the oldest tomb of the region. In Kayseri, one of the intersection points of the trade routes upon the historical Silk Road, the caravanserais such as the Karatsayhan and Sultan Han, grounded 40 kilometers away from the city center, are in fact the cornerstones of the history. Karatsayhan, built in 1240, reflects the Selçuk architecture with its highly figured stone adornments. Sultan Han was built by Alaaddin Keykubat I. The square courtyard and the small mosque in the middle, constructed upon cubic abutments, fill visitors with spiritual sensitivity and make them feel that all human actions should be realized in this center. The Ottomans aimed to preserve, develop, and embellish the city, taken over from the Selçuks, in every aspect. The Kurşunlu complex and mosque another delicate example of Ottoman religious architecture, unites an original style with respect for the Seljuk religious architecture dominating the city. An Ottoman masterpiece, the Covered Bazaar, was built in 1497 by Mustafa Bey, the former manservant of Sultan Beyazıt II and the prefect of Kayseri. The construction of the Covered Bazaar, occupying a vast area of the city center, was begun when the city passed into the hands of the Ottomans. Parts of it were destroyed after the fire of 1853, and the additions have been financed by artisans and citizens. The bazaar carries entire characteristics of covered bazaars, which are the traditional trade centers. It was integrated with other inns and bazaars in itself and hosts around 2,000 shops. The bazaar stands in the middle of the busy trade life of the city. The Vezir Han, in the south of the covered bazaar, is another Ottoman masterpiece. It was built by Grand Vizier Damat Ibrahim Pasha of Nevşehir in 1727. The Merzifonlu Kara Mustafa Pasha complex in the town of İncesu, with its caravanserai, mosque, theological school, public bath and bazaar, is one of the contributions of the Ottomans to the commercial and social texture of Kayseri. Other refined masterpieces, such as the hundreds of fountains found on every corner and the watchtower, one of the symbols of the city, are among the reminders of the Ottomans. While bearing traces of former civilizations of her past, Kayseri carries a rich culinary heritage, combining ancient traditions with modern taste into today and tomorrow. The cuisine of Kayseri is mainly consisting of pastries and meatballs. Pastırma and sucuk are among the specialties at breakfast tables. Mantı, or dumpling, with over 30 versions, is the sultan of main courses. Water hürek, crispy flaky pastry, bazlama, or flat-baked bread, tahini dessert, are indispensables at tea times. Cıvıklı, meat bread, fırın ağzı, minced meat sauté, casserole are typical lunch meals of the artisans. Guelder rose drink is a kidney-friendly specialty. Kayseri is unique with its natural beauties. Yeşilhisar Soğanlı Valley is a piece from Güreme, indeed. Sultan Ridi is the main stopover of birds of passage. It hosts over 300 bird species. Apart from the magnificent Erciyes, the mountains of Aladağlar are among the natural treasures of Kayseri. 7 lakes formed upon its peak are enchanting. The Kapuzbaşı waterfalls at its foot are merely sources of inspiration. The Hacer forests are the anti-aging spells of nature. The Yamula Dam, with its width, depth and beauty, is like a miniature sea within the city. And the vineries of Kayseri, surrounding the foot of Erciyes, like the green emeralds. For centuries, vinery is a tradition in Kayseri. From May to October, the locals migrate to the vineyards. The food of winter tables is gathered here. In the summer heat, vineyards are the places to cool down. The vineyards are blue when the song of Gezi Bağlar falls off lips. It is a song of melancholy to the ears of the listener. How can one not hear the complaint of the girl while listening to the folk song? Ceviz oynamaya geldi odama. Come to me to play with walnuts. The beauty of Erkilet hops on one foot out of joy of vintage time, shares her joy with you. Kayseri, one of the main ancient settlements of Anatolia, is today one of the highly renovated and developed cities of Turkey, renowned as a commercial and industrial city with a heritage of the past. Kayseri has made a name as a city of boulevards, with the advances in urbanization and the wide, spacious, refined sidewalks and streets as a result. The thousands of years old urban consciousness of Kayseri has turned into investments in modern ages. Especially the municipal services after 1990 have made Kayseri a model city in Turkey. In this period, overcoming infrastructural problems, advances in social services and the establishment of a sound environmental plan have made Kayseri a city to live in. The construction of new and planned settlements mounted up. Satellite cities were built. Programmed construction, meeting the economic and social needs of society, became widespread. Instead of uncontrolled growth, which is one of the fundamental problems of urbanization in Turkey, a model of systematic and programmed growth was exerted. Besides, building of roads gained importance in order to solve transportation problems. While solving the problem of traffic in the spacious streets and boulevards of Kayseri, light rail transport, underpasses and overpasses became the elements of the city's modern aspect. Kayseri draws attention not only with its city plan, but also with the neatness privy to a civilized city. While the buildings contributing to environmental pollution have been corrected, a municipal mentality sensitive to environmental, audio and visual pollution define the modern aspect of Kayseri, especially with new recreational areas and the 10 square meters of green field per person. Kayseri competes with Western cities. Green zoning adapted to the structural texture of the city has become a part of daily life. Therefore, the exhaustion of the modern city has been eased off and a new city model has been put forth. The negative aspects of urbanization, that of disregarding the human side, have been withdrawn as much as possible, and a synthesis between development and a humanitarian lifestyle has been accomplished. So, the citizens of Kayseri have had the privilege of living in a civilized city. Kayseri today, with a population of over 1 million, her statesmen and politicians known worldwide, a foreign trade volume of over $2.5 billion US, and exportation to almost 150 countries, 3 qualified industrialized zones and 1 free zone. The third biggest covered bazaar in the land, following the ones in Istanbul and Bursa. Numerous business centers either constructed or under construction. State and private colleges with over 30,000 students. Her 15,000 tradesmen and 40,000 artisans, advanced sanitary and educational institutions, sports, fair, convention centers and museums, domestic and international flights every day over Istanbul. Intercity bus terminal, comfortable and sophisticated establishments of communication, water and energy. Municipalities with no infrastructural problems, and above all, with her historical, cultural and natural beauties, and its governors with vision, has stepped into the 21st century and has moved forward to be a world metropolis. With her rich history, unique geography and people with warm hearts and incredible hospitality, Kayseri awaits you someday for a week to live in and share all these beauties and more. Kayseri, with all you see, is a city classic. From the city that grows each day even more, from the city that smiles into the future with love.